His love life is talked about all over the internet. He was on Dancing with the Stars, despite not being able to dance. He once wrangled a kangaroo with his bare hands.
I did what?
He's your favorite reality TV fuckboy reformed. He can make a woman fall in love at first sight. He is Harry Jowsey, boyfriend material.
All right, my loves, I'm officially back on reality TV. I'm on the show called Perfect Match, which came out on Friday. If you don't know what Perfect Match is, pretty much it is like the Netflix reality Avengers. They bring in all these people from every other show that may or may not have found love on their show to try and put them on this show to fall in love. But essentially, it's just a big clout harvest. Like, we're all there to try and harvest a little bit of clout. But it gets a little bit crazy. As you can tell, my face is a little bit flustered. I watched it. It's a lot. It's very wild. But we also filmed the show a year ago. So before we kick into this episode and dissect all the dumb things I did, I just want to preface that it was a year ago. At that time, I just broke my 13-month sobriety. I was going through a bit of a breakup. I was going through a hard time. People coming at me, making things up about me. And I was also like, I needed to do something different. I needed to get out of the bubble a little bit. And the opportunity came up to do the show. So I wasn't really in the best mind frame to be on the show. But that is no excuse for the dumb stuff that I did. And I also want you to think back. What were you doing a year ago? What type of human were you a year ago? Because I feel like a year ago, I've lived 100 different lives. I feel like I've grown so much. And I feel like that's what I want to do with Perfect Match. I want to look back at that and be like, damn, what would I do different? Because there's a lot of things that I would do different. And I feel like I was a bit of a silly sausage. You know what? Like, I'm cringe. I'm going to come out and just flat say that I'm cringe. I'm a bit of a douchebag on the show, to be brutally honest. So I just want to preface everyone with that maybe the version of people that you see on these shows isn't necessarily the true version of it. You know, not just speaking for myself, but for other people on there. Just have a little bit of grace when you're coming at everyone online, because I know it's about to get chaotic, and I'm sure it already has. Okay, guys, I want to kick off with episode 1, and I know we play a game like red flag. I'm just going to pull out the red flag. Walking into this, I was a physical red flag. If you look at me, I'm bright red. I'm nervous, and the problem with me is that when I get a little bit flustered and a little bit nervous, I just get bright red, like a little bit right now. Like my ears are the first thing to go. They're bright red. They're so hot. And my face and my whole complexion was bright red. I don't know if humans could be that, but I am a walking red flag on this show. So just understand that. We're all seeing it together. We're all judging me together. But we were also filming this in Tulum, in Mexico, in the heat of the summer. So I was literally sweating. My BO was probably horrible. I was probably no good to be around. And I also just want to let you guys know, I was having fucking 5 showers a day. It became a problem between me and one of my matches later on, because she was like, you need to relax. You're worse than us ladies. Like, you're literally showering every time you step outside. I would wake up, shower, go have breakfast, shower, go outside, maybe work out a little bit, shower, come back, do a challenge, shower, 2 more showers before bed. It's a dating show. I didn't want anyone to be like, wow, Harry's nuts stank. Like, I don't want to have stank dick on this show. So I was washing that shit like crazy. Like I was trying to scrub paint off a wall. That's how crazy I was going. Anyway, you don't need to know that. Why did I say it? But anyway, red flag. And yeah, also another reason why I was sweating profusely is, again, I was coming off like a 13-month break, of alcohol and everything like that. So on my birthday, before we filmed the show, I got a little bit too sauced, and then I was just in like this party boy mentality and going back to like maybe the worst version of Harry that you guys can see and that we're watching together. So, you have a little bit of alcohol in the heat, in the summer, you're feeling sexy, you get a little bit drunk quicker, and there was no limits with the alcohol. So we just kept going. And I realized that maybe there's alcoholic tendencies inside of me that were coming out. Like every day, I'm like, it would be great if we just all had a shot instead of water. Like there was some moments that maybe I'm going to get in trouble, but maybe some of us snuck alcohol into the van before challenges. So it would be a little bit like frisky, whatever else. It's also kind of nice. That's why I don't remember much of the show, because I was absolutely sideways 90% of the time. Like there's a lot of conversations and things that we all see that I'm seeing for the first time. And I'm like, why did I say that? What is going on? If you look at my eyes, I'm like, I look very drunk. I look like I've got problems. And I did have a lot of problems. And I'm sure I'm going to have more problems after this show comes out. Oh, also, one thing I didn't mention is we cook our own food. On Taught to Handle, we were spoiled. We had the best fucking chef ever. But on this one, we had to make our own food. And I think I got really exposed as being like the shittest cook on the planet. Because I would just make salmon and rice. And I'd be like, hey, girls, do you just want some of this dog shit undercooked salmon? Apparently salmon's not meant to be medium rare, but that's what I was trying to do. Like a little bit of sushi, a little bit of salmon. How you going? Anyway, so yeah, back to Perfect Match and all that craziness that goes on in this show. So if you don't understand it or you don't know what's going on, pretty much there's a bunch of people in the house and there's other Netflix reality stars in a hotel. And if you win a challenge, like I did on the first challenge, you can bring other people into the house and match them up, because the goal is like maybe you're a strong couple and you want to split up someone else who's a strong couple and test them. So it's very strategic. Or like what I did was just to kind of just try and have fun, and like people don't really know each other. It's still so fresh. Let's mix people up. So obviously I matched with Elise, and me and Elise, things are going great. But in my eyes, and I can't speak for Elise, I felt like it was kind of just stagnant. Like there was no up, there was no down. We were hanging out. We had a few smooches early on in the show, and then it kind of just never progressed. I couldn't really get in and understand what was going on with her. And I feel like obviously she's probably got a lot to say. I think Elise is an amazing human, and I got so much love for her. I actually did see her recently at the Netflix summer break event, and everything was fine. So there was no issues there. I think she's awesome. I just think that in that situation, it's really difficult because we're all coming in trying to find our perfect person. At this point in meeting Jess, I'd known at least maybe less than a week. You're trying to progress, you're trying to figure out someone, and this show only goes for like 4 weeks. So like, what am I going to do? Do you want me to sit there with my thumb up my bum and try and hope that by week 4 that we're in love? Or should I follow my heart? So I want to talk about Jess. I get sent on a date, and a massive shift in this little pea brain happens when I meet Jess. I was obviously so excited to go on a date. I didn't know who I was going to meet. Again, a lot of these people's shows hadn't come out yet. So when you're meeting them, I had no idea who they are. I'm just taking them for face value. So I was just excited at the prospect of meeting a special person. So what do? What does Harry a year ago do? He goes and gets a fucking leaf from the house. And my thought process behind it, if I remember correctly, was that I just wanted the person I'm on a date with to feel connected to the house. But it wasn't a real leaf. It was like a fake leaf with like wire in it. So it probably was a hazard. If she did get like stabbed with it or punctured, it probably would have sent her to hospital, because I don't know how long that leaf was there for. I don't know if it was rusting. I don't know what was going on. It's just fucking silly. But anyway, so when you go on these dates, it's a TV show. So it's a long process to get from A to B. So you're kind of just like sitting in a van for a while, and your anticipation and your anxiety starts to like really kick in. And then the date was only 40 minutes. Like that was it. And then you get back in the car and you do your thing. But we'll talk about the date right now. So, I'm sitting there on this cliffside, feeling like I'm the star of a movie, like hair blowing in the breeze, tan skin, feeling sexy. I think I had one of my best outfits. And this beautiful human walks around the corner. And again, at this point, guys, I'd never seen, her season of Love is Blind hadn't come out yet. So we were meeting each other for the first time. And I thought that Jess was the most incredible, most beautiful woman that I've ever seen in my life. Literally any thought of any other girl out of my brain. Like, where did it go? Literally, all I was thinking is like, oh my God, how did God create this human? If you watch the show, I feel like you can see the chemistry and the love kind of blossom like off the bat. There was literally, like, I just had goggles on. I'm like, the love goggles are going crazy. We're on this date. Everything is going amazing. And as you guys can imagine, on this island in this cliff face, there's actually no Van Cleef stores or Cartier bracelet stores. So I don't really have a lot to work with here, but you know what I did bring? That tetanus infected leaf that is rusty. So I reach into my pocket and I hand it over to her. For any of the guys listening, I feel like that was very sweet and a well felt moment, because it's really not the price of the gift or whatever else. It's the thought that's in that gift. So if you're about to take a lady on a date, maybe think about something that she really likes, or think about maybe like a cute, like handwritten letter, or just something nice, because it is an incredible gesture. Even if, you know, they throw it away or whatever else, if their instant reaction isn't amazing and they, you know, they're not excited about it, they're probably not the right person for you, and maybe they want the Van Cleef stuff. So yeah, I feel like it was a very sweet moment, and it kind of took me back to like high school and primary school, where like you would go pick flowers for girls, and like it would always be like so sweet and cute. And I feel like when I was with Jess in that date, like I did feel like a little hopeless romantic in high school. Like I did feel like I was trying to figure myself out, and I also felt like I was like confused. Like there was literally no problems in the world. I'm like, this is exactly where I need to be right now. And I feel like it was a very special moment. Now this date is going so well. I feel like it's sunshine and rainbows and everything's amazing. But Harry, a year ago, remember, you are matched with someone else in the house. And maybe she feels like it's progressing towards a relationship when you feel like it's been stagnant. So obviously the date comes to an end, but now I have to kind of face my problems. And in that moment with Jess, I feel like I forgot everyone. I forgot my mother, forgot my sisters. I didn't even know my mom's date of birth at that time. I was like, you could have asked me any question and it just would have been like, Jess. Anyway, so now I have to go back to the house. And obviously there's some crazy chemistry there. Jess is my type to a T. You know, short, tan, brunette, stunning, beautiful, incredible aura about her. And I was paired with Elise, who's, you know, a little bit taller and blonde, which is the exact opposite of Jess, like in the great way. I think they're both beautiful, but like kind of the exact opposite of what I usually go for. After I came back to the house, after the date, I feel like I kind of actively avoided her. I was so excited to tell the boys and my friends about this amazing human I just met. Again, forgetting that there's also another amazing human in the house that has been anxious all day and freaking out about what is going on with me. And now Harry today would have just bit the bullet and had that confrontational conversation and just got it out of the way. But Harry back then was so afraid of conflict and confrontation that I was like, you know, what would be great is if I just go get drunk and then figure it out later. Like there's a problem with like current Harry thinking about future Harry, because future Harry has to deal with a lot of situations. But current Harry is just having fun and getting drunk and just wants to party and have a great time with his friends. So obviously I want to talk about types a little bit, because can people really venture away from their type? And maybe that's my problem, is I've always gone for the same type of people. And maybe you've felt that problem as well at home. You're like, I always go for the same type of dude and it always ends the same, which is really horrible. Like I want to, for example, Travis Kelce. If you Google it, you know his type isn't necessarily Taylor Swift, but the fact that him and Taylor Swift are together means that maybe we all got to venture out of our type a little bit, because, you know, I feel like I'm open to all flavors and all fruits of the fruit basket. But I always, for some reason, just go back to that one type, that short little brunette, tan, beautiful, amazing human. Now, I feel like maybe in this situation, would it been of good? Maybe I was trying to do that, actually, with Elise. Maybe I was trying to do that. I'm like, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to go down a different path. But I just really feel like we just missed the mark on a bunch of things. And it is really tough. It was a tough situation. It's always tough to kind of get your hopes up and get excited about something, and also potentially maybe lead someone on or just hurt them in some way, shape, or form. But I think this year, well, after watching this, you know, I'm a different human than I was a year ago. Maybe I'm going to venture out and try a different type or try something new. And who knows? It might be my Taylor Swift and it might be the right thing for me. So that's our lesson of the day. Let's all try a little bit something different. Maybe it might not necessarily be like your type on paper, but it could be your type for life. So who knows? Anyway, back to the drama. Now, as you can imagine, I'm coming into the house on an incredible high. I've met the most amazing human I've ever met in my entire life. And then I see Elise, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I'm matched with you, and I should probably deal with this situation. But what does Harry do a year ago? Harry, he's like, I can't really deal with this. I'm not very good at conflict. I'm not very good at confrontation. So I'm going to go tell the boys about how amazing this date was while we get absolutely sauced. Again, Harry today would have just been like, you know what? Over communicating is better than no communication. So let's just sit down. Let's get it out of the way and let's just work through it. And then hopefully everyone comes out understanding each other's opinions, and then we can move on and grow from it. But that's not what happened. And obviously, if you watched it, you know Elise has the balls that I didn't have in that time. She pulls me aside and she wants to have this conversation. Now, also, you have to understand it's reality TV. This conversation looks like it was 5 minutes long. We were there for like 45 minutes. Like, we were talking. Like, we were getting it out. She was telling me exactly how she felt and how angry she was and upset. And that was absolutely valid. I was also a little bit drunk, and I want to tell her how I felt and whatever else. And quite honestly, I look like a bit of a tithead in that situation. Like, we can all laugh and we can all agree that I was a bit of a tit. And I also want you to understand that it has been less than a week that you've known these strangers and that you've matched up and like, this is my perfect match, whatever else. And at this point, you know, me and Elise had only kissed a few times throughout the show. So it wasn't really going anywhere. There was a physical attraction, but I personally, and I can't speak for Elise, I'm probably, as you can see on the show, she did feel a little bit more than I felt. And I absolutely understand that. And I do apologize for how that was handled. But like this is a stranger to me. And then we're together. And then they're like, hey, you guys got to fall in love. Figure it out. This is your perfect match. Now, watching it back, oh, God, I cringed. Like, Harry, you big tithead. Like, why did you just not say what was going on and be upfront and open and honest about the whole situation and really heard her out? But in the real life conversation, I feel like we really did hear each other out and we did progress it. But again, I was also very drunk. It was a year ago. I didn't really know what was going on. I was just trying to follow my heart. At the end of the day, I feel like I tried to do the right thing. I didn't want to be a disservice to Elise or myself and potentially lead her on and then get down the path of this crazy, crazy experience and then switch up for someone else. And I understand when you're in the house, you're on TV and you're going to get screen time. I personally know that if you go home, you're not going to be there. So there's a lot of pressure, and there's also a lot of pressure because we're all competitive. We all want to win. I want to look back, you know, Harry 2024, talking to Harry 2023, what I should have done in this situation. And maybe you're a lad out there or a lady and you can learn from this like I'm learning from this. You know, I feel like I just should have been upfront with Elise from the beginning. I should have just walked into that house immediately and pulled her to the side and just put it all out on the table, heard her out, seen her, understand where she was at mentally, and just offer a little bit of comfort and support instead of what I actually did. You know, she shouldn't have had to come to me. Like, that was just a bitch move on my behalf. Like, he shouldn't have had to do that. But that's the best thing about this experience, is that the fact that I get to look back at me a year ago and I get to be like, okay, this has really taught me this valuable lesson. You know, I'm very avoidant in those situations. I'll dance around it. I'll avoid it, whatever makes, to just try and like get rid of the situation, when the best thing to do is probably the hardest thing to do, and that's just to talk it out and hear each other out, because it made it a way bigger problem. And obviously, as you can see by the girls' reactions, they were not too happy by that whole situation. And everyone was saying we're the strongest couple in the house, whatever else. Like, we'd known each other for a week. Like, how are we a couple? Like, what are you doing? Like, I know I'm crazy. I get it. I know I try and propose and get excited about people, but like, I've known them for more than a week. You know, I feel like less than a week is crazy, whatever else, but it is what it is. We can't change anything about it. What we can do is we can learn from it. I also just want to touch briefly on when I tell Elise, can I speak now? Again, you guys have to understand, this was like a 45-minute conversation cut down for a few minutes. And that, in that situation, if that was real life where you're saying that, that's not the right thing to do. That's like fighting words. Like, that's just like telling someone they're yapping too long. But what happened was, Elise and I were being very good about the conversation. We were actually taking turns and like hearing each other out, which I thought was great. But obviously you watch that and you're like, this guy is a sausage. Like, why did he say, can I speak now? And I really suggest no one say that, especially in the heat of an argument when someone's a little bit upset at you. Don't say, can I speak now? Because it's not going to go, it's not going to be well received. What I would do now is make sure they feel seen and heard and sit there and understand until they've got everything out of their mind and they feel like they needed to say what they needed to say. And then you go into what you need to say. And hopefully like you both have the same respect to just hear each other out and see each other. Yeah. So after a 40-minute conversation with Elise, I was cringing at the whole situation. And what does Harry do? Fucking dickhead. I asked her for a hug and then cheers her. And then I'm like, if you love something, let it go. Like, why did I say that? What the fuck is wrong with me? Obviously, her reaction was valid. She said, I don't fucking love you. Like, what are you talking about? But it was just a whole silly situation. And look, if we're not laughing at this, we're crying. So I hope we can all laugh at me from a year ago because that guy is a peanut. So now we're done with the lady drama, and I want to talk about Dom, that big dingbat. No, we love Dom from the bottom of our hearts. He is the most amazing man, and I love that dude. But if you watch the scene that we have a bit of, a little bit of a disagreement with, it does seem a little bit serious and dramatic on my part. I get a little bit sassy. I run to the bedroom and I start crying, and things are a little bit heated. But it was because Dom said to me, if everyone is so genuine, why did you come here? Now, obviously, I'm in front of the love of my life, and I don't want her to think that I'm not genuine. I'm trying to be genuine. Harry a year ago was trying his best. Right now, we're getting better. But obviously, that is a really tough thing to see in front of, the girl that you're trying to get in a relationship with and everything else, especially when everyone else in the house is getting in their ear and trying to talk poorly about you. And it does suck, but I also just want to touch on it's reality TV. It's not real life. There was a bunch of things said after that where me and Dom had that like little bit of a disagreement to me going in the room and crying. Like there was a few things that had said between that. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on it because it doesn't fucking matter whatsoever, but we did have a few more words and it did hurt a lot because I love that guy. But also, Dom and I were still figuring each other out at this point. Like we weren't as close as we are today. We had hung out 2 times before this show. We were texting back and forth. We didn't know what was like going on with the other person. The reason why I didn't know he was on the show is because we weren't that close. Like we literally weren't that close at that point. Dom did the first season and I know he has a little bit of trauma from this show and like coming in, and I feel like after a few drinks, whatever else, things get heated. Maybe like he was already upset being here. So guys, obviously it's a little bit dramatic. I'm crying a lot. I was really in my feels. If someone can make a funny meme of me crying, I'll give you a big kiss on the forehead. I'd really appreciate it. If we can just see my face crying everywhere, maybe I'll change my profile pic on Instagram to that. But I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty fucking funny to see how absolutely wrecked I was and to see the caption saying Harry crying and then sniffles and sobs and dramatic music playing. Like, again, it's just another reason to prove that it's reality TV. It's not real life. When does dramatic music play when you cry? Maybe there's like some A-list celebrities whenever they cry, like maybe Ariana Grande, if she cries, I'm assuming the whole world starts playing like sad music because it's Ariana Grande. Shout out to her. But the biggest positive in this whole situation and the biggest takeaway, Jess said I was a beautiful crier. So at least I've got that going on. Maybe I'll cry more. Maybe I'll cry on TikTok. Maybe I'll cry on Instagram. If you see a bunch of posts of me crying, just understand I'm trying to be beautiful. And I'm trying to get some ladies. The next thing I want to get into is talking about like informational consent. Is that a word? I'm going to make it a word. In the show, I do something that was a little bit inappropriate and a little bit naughty. Now, today's Harry, 27 years old, grown-ass man. Looking back at Harry a year ago, I would not have done this. Now, for context, I'm going to tell you, Holly from Taught to Handle walks into the house. And as soon as I go into an interview, I share some personal details that happened between me and Holly, which, again, looking back, absolutely not okay. In that moment, I should have just kept it to myself, or just like been like, I know Holly very well. She's a great girl. She's a sweetheart. She doesn't need that drama. Also, like, I just don't, it's not appropriate. But I kind of go on and explain that, like, me and Holly, she went on my podcast, and then we got dinner after it, and then we had sexual intercourse consensually. And that was the last time I heard from her, which is highly inappropriate. Like, millions of people are going to see this. Her family's going to see this. I should have been a little bit more spoken in a better regard. And I also go on to mention that Steven cream pied her. Now, that is a crazy saying to say. And I did see Steven yesterday, and I explained the situation, and I said, didn't you do the little honky tonk with Holly? And he said, brother, no, that didn't happen. He's also happily in a relationship. So I'm deeply sorry to his girlfriend for saying that. I guess I misread some information, and I thought it'd be a great idea to share it on Netflix. So for any guy out there, when you think it's a great idea to brag about maybe bagging someone or something like that, just remember that maybe not. Don't say it. Maybe just keep it to yourself. Like, be a little bit mysterious. I think it's way more attractive than someone that just keeps information to themselves and holds that close, because you also, like, you never know when you're going to see these people again. I didn't know I was going to see Holly on Perfect Match. She walks in, I make a tit of myself. My problem was, and I know where my brain was at back then, is I just wanted to brag about hooking up with someone that was really hot. I think the world of Holly. I think she's an amazing human. You know, we obviously, our paths crossed. Probably never again, because she's probably going to hate me for that. But yeah, I just thought she was gorgeous, and I thought it'd be a great idea to brag about it on one of the biggest shows on Netflix. So I'm deeply, deeply sorry. Now, I want to do a teaching moment. Again, Harry, 27, stud. Looking back at Harry, 26, little fucking cowboy, very tan, bright red, always drunk. The teaching moment that I want us all to take away from this is, look, giving away personal information without someone's consent is not the best situation. It's not respectable. It's not smart. It's not a great idea. And also, like, if I was there right now and I was about to say that line, I would have to be like, what would Holly do if she was in the room? And that's how you got to think about these situations. If you're about to tell someone's personal story, maybe some personal information about someone, just think, how would you say that if they were in the room? If you need to say it at all. It was very wrong of me. I deeply apologize. I'm very sorry for that. Again, there's no excuse for that type of behavior. And I really hope that, Holly forgives me, because it's not very nice. But also, the word cream pie is really funny. Why did they put that in there? Why did I say it? And to be totally honest with you guys, my Wi-Fi name is Harry's Cream Pie Shop, which is really awkward because we film the podcast at my place, and I have to be a little bit professional, and I haven't figured out how to change it. And there's a lot of like meetings and people that come and go, and also, like, if I'm dating a girl, she's like, "Hey, what's the Wi-Fi?" And it says Harry's Cream Pie Shop. They're like, "Well, that's fucking weird. Why would you put that in there?" And then the password. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you the password. Past Harry, I'm looking at you, brother. Just shut the fuck up. Do not talk. Like, don't breathe. Like, don't do anything. Just go find a cave somewhere and meditate and just have a therapist on standby 24/7, because this is bizarre, brother. Anyway, now, guys, I know you have some questions and some burning questions about Perfect Match. If you want to put those questions in, go to boyfriendmaterial.iamunwell.com. Ask any question about Perfect Match, and this is our safe space until it's not, and I will be open and honest with you about what's going on. So the first question we have is from Julia, which is a great name. Shout out, Julia. What's it like being on a reality dating show with people who have been on reality shows in the past versus people who are going on reality shows for the first time? The biggest difference in these situations is that people who have been on shows in the past have a bit of an idea of strategy and some like preconceived notion. So when you're going to a show, you know how it works. You know, necessarily I won't be friends with these people after this. I know that if I do a little bit more drama over here, I'm going to get a little bit more screen time, which also equals more opportunities and more growth and more people talking about you on social media. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of how you get your bills paid, is when people are talking about you, you're growing. And that's just the truth of being on reality TV. Whereas like for the first time, going on a first time show, it's great because you're naive. You don't know what to expect. Like when I went back on Perfect Match, I was like, okay, so every 3 days we're going to do this. Every 2 days we're going to do this. So you're like already like strategic and planning like when to be prepared and what conversations to have, and also like when to talk to someone and when to avoid someone. So it's not very good. But I was saying it recently that, you know, I wish I did the show without doing any other shows before it. Like I wish I just went in naive and happy and skipping and just like carefree in the world. You know, when I was there, I've got businesses back home. I've got opportunities I'm missing out on. I've got my dog that I miss dearly, you know, moving houses. Like there was so much stuff going on back home that I was really stressed about. And also like being in that environment where everyone knows if they don't do anything, they're not going to get screen time. So everyone is just like, rah, let's try and get crazy on camera. So don't do shows with people that have done shows before, because you're going to get stressed out and have a panic attack like what I did. This next question is from Chloe. She says, were there certain people you hoped would be on the show? And to be honest, you know, I know she's not necessarily a reality star, but she does have a reality show on Netflix. Gigi Hadid, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fun? You know, just to get her in the mix, get a few tequila shots in there and just make a tit of myself again. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, next one is from Lulu. How did you end up on the show? What was the casting process like? So people actually don't know this. They wanted me to do the first season, but, you know, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of, you know, done doing dating shows right now, and I didn't really see it as a good idea. And when the second season got announced, or kind of internally, some of the team will reach out, but the best thing is I'm always talking to them, so I know if there's things coming up where they maybe think I'll be a good fit or whatever else. They just kind of shot me a text and say, hey, would you be open to doing Perfect Match Season 2? And where I was mentally wasn't in a great place, and I was really dark and I was really struggling over here. So I thought the best thing to do was to just get out there and try something different. But for people that are interested in getting in reality TV, there is a bunch of Instagram accounts that are just casting pages that you can like DM and hustle for. I do follow a few of them. I'm not going to say their names because I don't want you guys to blow up their DMs, but if you look really hard, you can find it. When I was applying to be on Too Hot to Handle, I was Googling every fucking person that was casting any MTV show, any ITV show. I was Googling fucking everything, and I would DM them. I would try my hardest. I would fill out any forms. I would do whatever I could to try and get their attention. So if you really want to be on reality TV, if you look, I'm sure you'll be able to find somewhere to apply for reality TV shows. I don't recommend going on reality TV unless you have tough skin and you're kind of carefree and you just don't really give a shit about how people are going to talk about you, because it is tough. You know, you got people that you made friends with, but then you watch the show back and they're talking shit about you behind your back. And it is hard for you to, well, for me especially, to wrap my brain around that, because there's a lot of people I love and care about. Next one from Katie. What did you pack? Could you bring your phone on the show? So the thing is with this show, obviously, well, most shows, they don't want you on your phone at all. They want you to be embedded in that experience. You know, you're not allowed to have your friends, your family, you can't call home. They don't want you to do this, but obviously this one was a little bit different because essentially it's people that have brands and businesses and they need to work a little bit. So we actually did get our phone for an hour every morning, which was great. So you get to check in and go through it in there. But I didn't pack my bag at all. This is going to sound really douchey, but I had a stylist Just do it all for me. So I actually didn't know. I knew there was like, these are photos of the looks that we want to do, but I just didn't pack it. I just let them do it, which is a douchey thing to say, but that's just the truth of it. But also, actually the interesting thing about getting your phone back when you're on that show is I didn't fucking want it. Like, I actually did not want my phone at all, because when you see that phone, it takes you back to real life, real problems, real anxiety. Maybe some businesses are going under, or maybe needs attention, or maybe mom is just missing you and she's been trying to call you a million times. Like, there's just a lot of anxiety, when you're in paradise and you've fallen in love and you've got your special person, and then you have to be like, oh, this is real life. So it's kind of nice to just like turn your phone off for a little bit. Next one is from Jackie. What up, Jackie? What was the most surprising thing you learned about yourself during this show? I think looking back at the show, I think there's a lot of like bad tendencies that I essentially have when I drink. Now, the best thing about doing a reality show is you get to see yourself from someone else's eyes, which is kind of a crazy thing to say. And it's kind of wild because, we are always seeing from our vision, but you get to see maybe in a situation that goes down, you get to see it from their point of view. You get to see your point of view, but most importantly, you get to feel like as an audience member and make up your own decision and your own kind of thoughts on that situation. So I think the biggest thing that I've kind of learned is, well, I don't really think I learned too much, but I think the biggest thing is just taking a step back and just seeing it from a different perspective and not being emotional, and just being like, okay, I get why this person was upset. I understand where I was coming from. What could I have done to bridge the gap differently this time moving forward? I also learned probably should have done more therapy before it. I probably should have stayed sober. I probably should have over-communicated. There's a lot of things I probably should have done, but I probably didn't because I'm a fucking peanut. From Courtney, what were some funny behind-the-scenes moments that the viewers didn't get to see? Okay, I'm really pissed off about this. I'm really fucking mad. Obviously, there was a lot of cute moments with me and Jess. I would have just loved to just have that, like just a camera on us 24/7. Well, I probably would have cried a lot watching that back, but that's okay. But the biggest thing that I really fucking wish was in the show, actually two things. There was a moment where I was fucking hiding under the bed and I was trying to have Elise to have a serious conversation under the bed because I thought that would be hilarious. There was another moment where I got 2 jugs of mayonnaise and I was making everyone eat the mayonnaise because I thought that was funny as fuck as well. Apparently, it's not funny. And I was just being a drunk dickhead. There was also a wooden deer that I kept stealing and hiding it in other people's rooms. But the most important one that I really wished was in the fucking show was me and Steven decided one day when the house was quiet and everyone was being a little bit boring, we're going to do a fashion show. And we thought it was the funniest shit ever to blow up condoms as balloons and strut our stuff and put undies over our head. And he was pretending whatever. I'm not even going to say it, but it was really funny. I really wish I was in there. But also it's like, does it fit the storyline? No. Like, oh, just quick hard cut to me and Steven just in bikinis and undies on our heads with a G-string. Like, it wouldn't make sense. I get it, but I wish that was somewhere. If there's enough love for the fashion show, maybe me and Steven can recreate it for you. But now we're experienced and we know how to do it a little bit better. Just, I might not wear the G-strings. Also, I don't even know whose G-string that was. But if there was some funky marks on it, blame Steven. Anyway, next question is from Amber. She says, did you form any genuine friendships from the show? No, of course we did. Obviously, yes, you make some amazing friendships and connections. Like me and Steven, we had a bumpy past in the past because kind of like a similar situation with Dom. There were some things that were going on and some people were pillow talking and making it seem like things weren't too gravy between us. But going in there, I realized he's one of the nicest dudes on the fucking planet. He's very level-headed, very great. Justin, greatest dude in the world. Like, he is such a funny dude. He's so handsome. He's so lovely. I just fucking love that guy. And obviously the rest of the boys, well, not all of them, but there's a few other boys that we like really, really bonded with. But the thing is, you have to understand, with reality TV, you do this incredible experience. You feel like all these people are your friends. You love them to bits and pieces. And then you watch it back and you're like, wait, why the fuck did you talk so much shit about me? And that's what really hurts the most. So I genuinely I'm very standoffish until I get to watch the show, and I want to just make sure before I, fully solidify that friendship. Next one's from Annie. Do people from different shows have certain stereotypes? This is actually kind of crazy because I feel like they do. I feel like the Love is Blind people are very Love is Blind. Their mentality is love with eyesight this time, and like getting married and like forming a serious bond and relationship. I feel like Taught to Handle, we're horny little freaks. We want to suck toes. We want to have a good time, and we just want to hook up with everyone. Well, that was just me, but like I'm sure, like all of us pretty much kind of have that stereotype, because I guess also like when you're on a show, that's kind of how you're branded. So immediately your brain goes back to like, I got to be like that. The people from the circle, for some reason, they always have the biggest personalities. I guess because you're locked in a room by yourself for a month and you have to talk to a fucking TV. I don't know if I could do it, but like literally, I couldn't imagine sitting there for a month and just talking to a TV and like, yo, type this, fire emoji. Like it's nuts. So everyone genuinely is like, that's why they get cast, because everyone kind of fits into each bucket. And I went in the dickhead bucket. All right, my loves, I feel like we just had a therapy session. Obviously, there is more episodes of Perfect Match coming up, and that you're going to hear it from me first. I'm going to tell you everything that's going on, the behind the scenes, things that were cut out, maybe things that I did wrong, but most importantly, we're going to laugh and we're going to learn at Harry from a year ago. So also please give everyone a little bit of grace. Maybe there was some people on the show that didn't do the best thing and you want to leave a nasty comment. Just give them grace. No one deserves that. No one deserves any heat. It was a year ago. Everyone's grown and blossomed, and they're amazing. I really appreciate being on reality TV because it holds me accountable, and we're learning and growing together. Like, we're only living life once for the first time ever. So we get to do it. We get to learn. And maybe you're sitting at home and you've heard some things or saw some things that I did, and you're like, oh, I kind of see that in the guy that I'm seeing. How do I get away from that? How do we grow from that? So anyway, there's a lot of reflection. I'll see you next week. So if you want to get the behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe to Boyfriend Material wherever you listen to your podcast. Tell your friends about this. And yeah, strap yourselves in because it's going to get fucking crazier from here on in.